Hi, everyone, and welcome to Latitude Live. I'm Alison Evans from Latitude IT. Now, with International Women's Day, I thought I still want to show these really gun women that I work with and know in the industry. And I thought, who else could I bring to the conversation? And I thought of Deepika Rodrigo. So welcome,
Hello.
Deepika. Deepika
Hi.
heads up Nibble Digital. She is a co-founder of Nibble, an agency that does everything from strategy, brand, website, marketing, you name it. I've known Deepika for a little while and I thought, what an interesting person to talk to. So thanks for coming in and chatting with me and being roped
Thanks.
into
I'm glad you
this.
find me interesting.
No, I do. You have a lot. We have a lot to talk about, and we could talk for hours. So, thanks so much. I really appreciate your time and coming to get onto this podcast. So,
Cool. Thank you for having me.
tell me about yourself. Tell us all about yourself.
Cool. Well, I'm Deepika, the co-founder of Nibble Digital, which, as you said, is a full-service digital agency. I've worked in digital, gosh, for about 17 years now. Makes me feel really old. I moved to Australia with a sort of larger business about 10 years ago, and sort of have worked quite heavily in B2C financial services for the first few years with clients like Citibank and Westpac, AMP, and stuff like that, and then moved into an in-house head of digital role for a few years and started Nibble a couple of years ago. So that's sort of a quick summary of my background.
Yeah, awesome. I know that you've come to Australia and you decided, yep, living abroad. Yep. When was that a good idea? Like, when did you go, yep, I'm coming over? Because you've been here for a few years now.
Yeah, so 10 years exactly this month, actually. About maybe 14 years ago when I was working with Rage, which was a large sort of onshore, offshore agency. They had Citibank as a key client in about 16 countries, and I used to manage the Australian business and started coming out here maybe 2, 3 times a year to sort of, as the business was growing, to meet with clients. And I just found the Australian work culture to be, super warm, really friendly. I loved my trips to Sydney. Having said that, I used to, stay in a hotel and have a per diem and take cabs everywhere and stuff when I came. So it was a bit spoiled.
Yeah.
But I just really connected with the people. I felt like the clients I was working with felt like friends. And then as the business grew and I had the opportunity to move to Sydney, I was, absolutely thrilled about it and basically decided to make the move. Didn't know a single person from a sort of friend family perspective. So the
Yeah.
clients were really the people that sort of helped me,
Yeah.
start my life here.
Yeah, fantastic. Yes, you do feel like a friend. You do feel like someone that can really, we can really connect with. And I think that's what I sort of resonate with you. And that's, a really nice quality when you're running a business, actually. Back to your study. Tell me about how you came about working in financial services and digital, because it's such a massive space now. It's a really exciting space to be.
Yeah. Well, quite randomly, actually, I've studied psychology as my degree.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I did my master's in industrial relations and personal management. So I was sort of on a track to do a HR career. I had a few interviews and I wasn't really that excited. And my sister, who's a designer, whom I've actually ended up working with now for the whole 17 years, was working in a digital agency at the time. And I just sort of went for an interview,
Yeah.
quite, they give you the job, excited about the money. And basically that's how my digital career started. And then I ended up staying with that agency for 13 years.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my, having said that, I don't think my study unrelated. I feel studying psychology sort of sets you up
Yeah, I was thinking
to
that
deal with
actually.
people and stakeholder management. Working in an agency is really all about understanding people and managing stakeholders and egos and all of that stuff. So I'd like to think it helped me.
Yeah, I think, what I didn't know that about you. So that's really cool that you've actually, now it makes a lot of sense, because my next question is, you're quite the expert wrangler. And, you've got a lot of bandwidth to take on a lot of different sort of moving parts and so on. And so, during your career, you thought, okay, I want to do this on my own. I'm going to do a side hustle. So how did you sort of come about creating space to do a side hustle and work?
Right. I'll be honest with you. I never through the whole period of working with Rage and the big agency thought of doing my own thing. I was always one of those, typical very loyal employees, work hard, enjoy all the perks that come with having a full-time job. It's sort of safe and secure. I then was working at a business with my now business partner, Dorian. And long story short, like, I wasn't really being challenged by the job, wasn't a great culture. And he actually suggested, well, why don't we just go off and start our own thing? I was like, yeah, sure. Tried it out for a few months. And it just, the success we experienced the first few months was honestly overwhelming. And that's kind of how it all started. It was just not something that I'd thought about before.
Just organically kind of happened.
Yeah, and I was in a work situation that I did not enjoy. And I think Dorian was braver than me, and I have to give him credit for that.
Yeah. He's another great talent in your team. That's absolutely for sure. Quite the wordsmith, I feel. When did you guys go, yep, I'm going to take the plunge now? And what did you do to back yourself to leave your current job? Was it financial? Was it just planning the business?
Yeah, I think it was just having, again, I'm not sure I've done it alone, having a business partner and sort of being aligned in what we wanted to do. We were, we had so much work that there was no way we could have done it while doing it full time. So it sort of came to that decision point where you're either doing it or you're not.
Yeah.
There was no way we could continue it as a side hustle. So, we just took the plunge and went for it, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's just like going, yep, I'm going to do it, and ripping off the Band-Aid and just backing yourself a bit. I think it's quite hard to do that.
Yeah. It was a bit funny because the first 3 months you're just on a high, and you've been earning a full-time salary, so you've got a bit of savings and all that stuff. It starts sort of hitting the reality, it starts feeling real in about 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And then in our business, that's kind of when COVID happened.
Absolutely. You've this really elevated during COVID.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have and are getting through it, which is, it's hard, isn't it? So what are some of your tips in terms of creating a side hustle and getting that off the ground, just for our people that are listening? Like, how, what do you think is necessary?
I think apart from, the regular stuff, making sure it's a good idea, testing that with your with the audience beyond your friends and family network, and, being professional in terms of having a brand identity and website and stuff. From a mindset perspective, I think it's really important that even though if it's a side hustle, to treat it completely professionally from the beginning, whether it's, we lost you.
I'm coming back. Just 1 second. There I am. Sorry about that.
To treat it as an official business, a full-time business from the beginning in terms of how you run, whether it's from a commercial side of things, your tools, your accounting practices. I think the other learning that I have is, even though because it's your own business, you're willing to put in, any number of hours and do what you have to do. But I think it's really important to sort of track your time and work out whether, because sometimes you go like, was that even commercially viable? Just because you're doing it yourself, it's your own business.
Yeah.
Just to get new clients, you sort of take on work, and then when you look back, you're like, you actually lost money in doing something. So I think it's quite important to have that sort of profit and loss mindset from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got to kind of think about weighing up your numbers versus that sort of spend of time, because you can bury yourself so deep into
and you're willing to do anything because it's your business. But that doesn't necessarily make sense from a long-term perspective. When you bring other people on board or people are interested in collaborating with you, it doesn't add up.
Yeah, totally. What do you think was the hardest thing that sort of happened apart from COVID to build that startup business? Most challenges you've had?
I think it's like staying sort of, strategic and motivated on a day-to-day basis, because you sort of have to keep doing both basic tasks and high-level tasks, like shifting from that business growth mindset to a task-oriented mindset can be quite hard.
Yeah.
And while COVID itself wasn't like, at the end of the day, we actually did really well through COVID, because people sat back and looked at their digital strategies and websites and stuff, and we did have inquiries coming in the whole time. But what was hard around COVID is the networking aspect. I get my energy from people, and what really helped us in the early stages of our business was the network that we had, and people who were willing to support us, because we went out for coffees and lunches and met them, and they were like, sort of came out of the woodwork literally to help us. But during COVID, I guess everyone was going through their own sort of journey and working from home, and like it was just hard to get people to engage and have a chat over Zoom. And even now it's still sort of getting back, so people are in that hybrid mode. I think I feel as a new business, we lost out on those sort of 6 to 8 months of that traditional networking, which is required from a new business perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to get out in front of, even though we're on screen now, we've spent time together in person. It makes all the difference, that connection.
And you guys did the whole time, which was great for us. So we had a few people that, we met up throughout the process, but a lot of people just
they're still out, still working from home. Yeah, it is. And it's shifted.
We've done so many projects with clients we've never met as well.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can achieve in this sort of capacity, which I think is a story in itself. I'd love to hear about your industry expertise and what Nibble focuses on, because we really liked you because you were in financial services and bringing a completely different lens. The whole fintech space is really booming, really interesting. Tell us a bit about what you guys look at and what you bring to the market.
Yeah, sure. Where we've sort of ended up, I guess, in the last year, obviously when we started, we were quite open to work with all types of businesses. We had some of our first few clients were really big organizations like CSR, an Australian military bank, and big B2C organizations, which we still continue to work with. But where we've sort of seemed to be finding our niche is that sort of B2B business, and a lot of it in financial services. Mm-hmm. They're all quite successful businesses, but their business structure doesn't enable them to sort of have heads of digital, sometimes not even heads of marketing. They're founder-led businesses a lot of the time. There are people focused on sales and business development, but there is a big opportunity and they have a lot of data. There is a big opportunity for them to use that data and then enable digital to make that work for them. So they've all had a lot of systems. You have businesses sort of make those systems work from a marketing perspective. So like marketing automation projects, their websites was a bit disconnected from the rest of their platforms and stuff. So we've found a lot of opportunity there to sort of, I guess, look at a business's sort of digital platforms and what they're doing. It all was a bit disconnected, to sort of bring that together and help them sort of create some sort of strategy and then also execute on parts of it, whether it's a website redesign or a marketing automation project.
Yeah, that's definitely a strong point of view, guys, for sure. That really over that umbrella overview, and then understanding, right, these are the gaps. This is what we feel you need to do, and this will really elevate. And then the ROI is really quite obvious. Like we've certainly seen it when we've worked with you. In terms of an organisation or a company looking to, look at their brand strategy or their go-to-market approach, what are the things that you can recommend that, or people should think about when they're trying to define that? Apart from if they were to engage Nibble. So if they didn't wheel you in, how would you look at it from an overview as you would start something like this?
If it was a new business, you mean like a side hustle?
New business or a side hustle or, an existing business wanting to look at these types of things?
Yeah, I think it's, obviously validating and testing the idea is really important. There's a lot of tools that digital tools available today that helps you do that. You can find your right audiences without spending too much money on Facebook and LinkedIn, all that stuff. So, whether it's conducting surveys or early stage landing pages to look at what that conversion means for your business or service. I think the other thing is making sure you have the right platforms. I think people are, overwhelmed with like the SaaS platforms available today. There's, the Salesforce, there's Adobe, there's this, there's that. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that just because it's successful for somebody else, it makes sense for you. And while it is good to have all the right platforms in place, sometimes there is something as an overkill, and then things get sort of lost between systems. So I think it's important to be a bit measured in choosing those platforms and not overdoing it in the early stages. And at the end of the day, it's all human beings on the other side. The communication is really important, and how you communicate. So having that communication and messaging is ultimately whatever tool you use. You really have to you hit the mark in terms of your comms.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is what you guys are really, really strong at, that I've noticed. In terms of some of the services you guys offer, what could people engage you for?
So we offer digital and marketing strategy, and also help with the execution, which ends up being either website redesign or a marketing automation project. We get involved with quite a lot of design UX stuff, both in terms of campaigns and product. We help with content, as we do with you guys, and Dorian, my business partner, has quite a good niche in analytics which is, literally sits across everything that any business does. So I'd say we sort of sit in those 4 buckets, which is, websites, design, content, and analytics.
Yeah, awesome. And it's really great to learn a lot about you and that you've come up through psychology. And I think now that really makes a lot of sense with your style and how you connect with people, how you connect with that voice online. Where can we find you? Where can we find out more about you? Or Nibble and what you guys do? How can we reach you? Or even for a side hustle? I think you're a really good person to talk to.
Give me a call.
Give you a call. Okay, can we DM you?
Give me a call.
All right, great.
Yes, old school.
Old school. Yeah, good. I know you do. You're the most social person I know. Look, thank you so much. That was really good to hear about you and your story.
We love working with you guys as well. So thank you.
It's been great working with you. I highly rate these guys. If you want to get your side hustle off the ground, or you want to brand or do some really great copy, speak to Nibble. Or speak to me about career advice, your next job. Market's really picking up, so it's really exciting time to come back to us and really elevate what you're doing. Anyway, thank you, and happy International Women's Day. I've dragged it out over the month.
To you.
Thanks for being a part of it.
Why not? It should be.
Yeah, I'm going to drag it out a little bit longer. All right, thanks so much. See you soon.
Thanks, Ali.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Bye.